Today we will be talking about water purification. We will touch on different topics like osmosis, reverse osmosis, nanofibers, polymers in water filtration. We will also discuss the role of coagulation and sedimentation in drinking water. So what is osmosis? Osmosis is the movement of solvent from a region of lower solid concentration to a region of higher solid concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. As we can see on our diagram on your right hand side, we have two beakers. On our left, we have a beaker that have two equal solutions that are separated by a red membrane. The diagram represents solution before osmosis took place, and our right beaker represents the solution after osmosis took place. As we discuss osmosis on the previous slide, now we look at reverse osmosis. Reverse osmosis is the water purification process that uses a partial membrane to separate ion and unwanted molecule and larger particles from salt water. As we see on the diagram, the pressure is applied on a salt water, forcing water to pass through membrane and leave contaminant on the left hand side. That we have on the right is fresh water. These small particles are contaminant. Okay, now let's take a look at the water purification process. But first, let's define water purification. Water purification is the process of removing the undesired chemical compound, organic, inorganic material, and biological contaminants from water. Most water is disaffected for human consumption purposes, filling the requirement of medical, pharmacological, chemical, and industrial application. The diagram on our right shows the water purification process from extraction of water from dams and rivers. It shows all the process involved until we get fresh water. Role of reverse osmosis in water purification. Since water is collected from dams, waterfall, and from undergrounds, water collected contain unwanted chemical compound, organic, inorganic material that can be an effect on human health. Reverse osmosis is applied to remove contaminant and improve the taste of drinking water. When sufficient pressure is applied to the membrane from the concentrated side of the membrane, osmosis can be slowed, stopped, or even reversed. Membrane acts as an extreme fine filter to create safe water or to trap contaminants. A membrane has three layers: polyamide layer, polysulfone layer, and polyester base. Polysulfone layer is a barrier layer that removes nutrients, chemicals, and bacteria and viruses from water. We will see the diagram of membrane on the next slide. On previous slide, we talked about the three layers found in the membrane. In this diagram is the structure of layers found in the membrane that is used in a reverse osmosis.
Nanofibers and nanoporous polymers in water filtration. The presence of organic matter and traces of its accumulation in wastewater poses a major problem in the present-day technologies such as coagulation or flocculation and chloride technologies are unable to yield satisfying results. Additionally, these processes generate extra volumes of sludge which need further treatment and disposal. Nanotechnology has great potential in filtration applications due to its capability to create precise structural control materials for such requirements. Application of nanofibers and nanoporous polymers in water filtration. Nanofibers are a fiber of material with a thickness or diameter of only a few nanometers. Nanofibers can be generated from different polymers and hence have different physical properties and application potentials. All polymer nanofibers are unique for their large surface area to volume ratio, high porosity, appreciable mechanical strength, and flexibility in functionalization compared to their microfiber counterparts. Advantages of using nanofiber. The large surface area of nanofiber webs allows rapid absorption of dust and other particles from air, such as microorganisms or pollen, as well as hazardous molecules. The latter necessitate reactive sites in the polymer or catalytically active additives, allowing chemical binding or decomposition of hazardous substances, respectively. Besides fineness and resulting large specific surface area of nanofiber webs, their high porosity and small pore size contribute further to their high absorption and filtration efficiency.
The filtration process of nanofibers and nanoporous polymers in water. According to the properties of the target water pollutants, we classify them into three categories, namely inorganic pollutants, organic pollutants, and biological pollutants. We can use different methods in nanotechnology to filter the pollutants. The types and fabrication strategies on various nanoporous membranes are first introduced, and then the fabricated nanoporous membranes for removing various water pollutants such as salt, metallic ions, anions, nanoparticles, organic chemicals, and biological substrates. Nanoporous membranes for water purification can generally be divided into three types based on their material composition: inorganic, organic, and inorganic hybrid membranes. In this context, we will look at organic membranes, mainly made of polymetric materials such as polyvinyl alcohol, polyamide, polypropylene, and many more polymembranes. The picture below shows us the different types of nanofibers membranes and how they look. Now, one example of the nanofibers and nanoporous polymers in water filtration application is the one by Feng and co-workers designed and prepared a PVDF nanofibrous membrane via electrospinning for water desalination. The prepared membrane produced potable water successfully with a concentration of sodium chloride lower than 280 parts per million, starting from saline water with a concentration of 6% sodium chloride, which is comparable to the performance of commercial membranes. The figures below show nanofibrous membranes. Figure A shows a nanofiber membrane before filtration of water. As you can see, the membrane is clean and has no particles left on it. And on figure B, we see a membrane with small pollutant particles left after the water has been filtered through it, so that the water produced is clean and potable for drinking.
Discussing the role of coagulation and sedimentation in drinking water. But before I get to that, let me define what coagulation is and what sedimentation is. Coagulation is a process whereby the size distribution of particles changes from a large number of small particles to a small number of large particles. This means that a gelatinous mass is formed to trap particles, thus forming a mass large enough to settle out or be trapped in the filter. Below, we have an illustration of coagulation. As you can see, in the first cylinder, we have negative charges floating in the water. A coagulant is then added to neutralize the charges and enable them to be attracted to each other by destabilizing them. The most commonly added coagulant is aluminum sulfate. The gelatinous mass then settles out and can be trapped in the filter. What is sedimentation? Sedimentation is the process of allowing particles in suspension in water to settle out of the suspension under the effects of gravity. The particles that settle out from the suspension become sediment and in water treatment are known as sludge.
Coagulation is an important primary step in water treatment due to the fact that in this step particles are removed, particles such as organic carbon. The removal of dissolved organic carbon through coagulation means less chlorine must be added to disinfect the water. Organic carbon makes it difficult to disinfect the water. That is why it is very important for one to remove organic carbon before proceeding with the other processes during water purification. The most commonly used coagulant is aluminum sulfate. Coagulation treatment neutralizes the negative electric charge on particles, which destabilizes the particles and enables them to become attached to the other particles so that they may be removed in subsequent processes. Sedimentation enhances the filtration process by removing particulates. During water treatment, sedimentation allows suspended particles to settle out of water as it flows slowly through the tank. The figure below shows how sedimentation occurs. As you can see on the first part of the figure, individual particles produce turbidity. The particles further join together or coagulate to form even bigger particles. As the process of coagulation proceeds, flocculation occurs, and as a result, the coagulants settle out of the suspension.